make TikTok good for you? So this project is about medical influencers. So medical influencers on social media. Now, these people can either be medical experts or people who are not trained in medicine, therefore they don't have a medical background, but they still engage the public in public debates about health issues on social media. Now, this is one example of a medical influencer, Dr. Randall Ortel. He is from South Africa, and he uses TikTok to increase awareness about certain medical issues. For example, he explains people how they can recognize symptoms of measles on social media. However, during the pandemic, particularly COVID-19, we also witnessed examples of medical influencers who were giving mixed messages about how you should behave to protect yourself against the virus, but also to protect the public. For example, there were some medical influencers who were saying that you shouldn't wear a mask, or that maybe it wasn't really necessary to have a vaccine. And this contradicted the advice of medical authorities and also medical doctors, and therefore it was throwing the public into confusion. Now, the problem of these mixed messages, particularly when they're shared on social media, is that they can spread misinformation, and at the same time they can undermine the trust in public health authorities. Therefore, one of the key objectives of this project is to understand why people decide to listen or not to listen to the advice of their doctor and public health authorities, and also what the influence of these medical influencers is on people's views about a health issue. Now, to do this, you need to identify who these medical influencers are, and also understand what they say on social media impacts the views about a health issue of other people. So, for this project, we collected a sample of the top 100 of tweets by the top 100 influencers on Twitter, and then we used machine learning to classify these medical influencers into certain categories that we call identities. For example, we classify them. We used artificial intelligence to establish whether these medical influencers were medical experts, doctors, or journalists, or politicians. And one outcome for this project is a network analysis tool that identifies the probability that an actor belongs to a specific category. For example, the tool can assign an actor the probability that this actor is a journalist, for example, 80%, or a medical doctor. And then whoever is using the tool can then select that specific category. At the same time, the tool can link the actors with the topics that are most represented in the social posts by these actors. And therefore, it's possible to establish a link between the medical influencer's identity, who these actors are, and what they say on social media, and the impact that they have on the views of people. Now, we're currently in the process of writing a grant proposal to basically fund the development of this tool. And we hope that this tool can be used by researchers and analysts to understand the impact that medical influencers have on the public's view about a health issue, but also to capitalize on the positive message that these medical influencers can have, or to identify potential sources of misinformation in what they say, and therefore develop a communications campaign that can counteract the spread of misinformation as a result of it. Thanks for your attention.
Great, thank you very much. Questions, Roberta? Yeah, Manuel.
Hi, thanks very much. Really interesting. Are you thinking of implementing this as a automated detection tool, like identifying, an automated system that identifies, I don't know, misinformation campaigns going on social media, and then immediately, hitting the alarm button.
Not at this stage, no. We are only focusing on identifying the impact that these medical influencers can have on what people think, and therefore what sort of change what medical influencers can generate in what people think. But the future application of these tools can also, I think, be used to detect misinformation, or at least the hope would be to link certain communication strategies by these influencers with the spread of misinformation. Because the assumption we come from is that someone says something, but then as it is shared across the network, their meaning can be distorted, and that's where the source of misinformation is. So that's the hope, basically, that one potential outcome of this project.
Thank you.
Thanks. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Madeline.
No, thank you for that. That was fascinating. I was just wondering, actually, when you were talking about these distortions, whether you notice any in the patterns of distortions, when and how far down the chain of sharing they occur, and whether you've noticed any more specific patterns of when and why these distortions occur.
Well, we don't know yet. That's what we want to find out. So that's why we are developing this tool. So actually, this is part of these. So the aim is actually to develop this tool so that we can identify these patterns with social network analysis or social semantic network analysis.
Yeah, great. And over to Leslie.
Very, very interesting. It's just wondering that when I want to do a pancake these days, when I want to make a pancake at home, like I just asked ChatGPT how to make a pancake. And I was just wondering, and then it gives me the instructions, and I was just wondering whether this could work the other way around, where I would have to write down my version of a pancake, or in this case, the medical information communicated. And that is compared against some form of collective knowledge, and to pick up the patterns that maybe my version doesn't have flour, so that's just not going to work. Do you think it's something that the technology is going towards just to check what an actor is communicating, in this case a human, and how does that compare to the collective?
I don't quite get the question, sorry.
Oh, okay. So basically to check whether misinformation or how this sort of distortions are happening, you're comparing whatever was communicated against the standard. So
yes.
I'm wondering
yes.
whether that is something that this technology could sort of move towards. So it's not just a one-directional thing that we ask information, the AI, the system, how to do something. But we can, in this case, double-check whether whatever we are saying or a third party is saying, how does that compare against some form of standard? I don't know if that...
Okay, so I think, this tool is mostly meant for example, researchers who are interested in understanding what people say about a health issue. Now, it could also be used by an influencer, so if you to understand the impact that their message is having on the public. Yes. So, for example, it could be used by influencers themselves, and not necessarily by medical influencers, but also by other types of influencers, to understand how their message is basically spreading and what sort of impact is having, whether it's being distorted and therefore having a positive, a negative impact. Like what we have said, for example, what we see all the time with social media, unfortunately, that also, particularly people that are very popular, sometimes when they write on social media, they tend to also be object of inflammatory comments, And therefore, yes, it could also help these people to better understand, how they should communicate on social media, let's say.
Yeah, so my silly example with the pancake was that, let's say that I'm a very famous influencer and I suddenly start to say make pancakes without flour. So the tool would be able to track this idea to make pancakes without flour, which is obviously silly. It's disinformation in that sense. How that idea is spreading in a community, or how is that influencing people?
Yes, and if there is also someone who has actually tried to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We for dinner at your house. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Roberta.